Welcome, everyone. I am so glad that you are here. And this workshop is for the part of you that is ready to stop performing, loosen old roles and patterns, and reconnect with what is real. Today is not about fixing yourself, it is about remembering who you are. So let's begin today by grounding into why this matters. I want to welcome you once again. This is a time to take up space, to pause, to breathe, and come back to your truth. You are not here to become someone else, my dear. You are here to remember who you are beneath the roles, the pressure, and the patterns that pulled you away from yourself. So often we don't really lose ourselves all at once. It happens in layers through responsibility, through adapting, through saying yes when you really mean no. So you might look around your life and think, nothing really is that wrong. So why don't I feel aligned? Why don't I feel like myself? Why don't I feel good about my life? So let that settle. And before we go further, let's create a little space to actually receive. To receive the fullness of this gathering, I invite you to gather a journal. Take a slow breath in and a slow breath out, inviting yourself to arrive. This is your sacred pause. You are here to recognize presence, not performance. So allow yourself to listen for what feels true, and let this be about honesty rather than having to continually put on that mask and perform. This gathering is not about figuring things out. It's about letting truth be felt, not solved. This isn't a workshop to ace. This is a space to bring in your conscious observer, to notice, to tell the truth, to let something soften. You don't need the perfect journal to answer your questions today. Just one honest moment of recognition is really, really powerful. That's what we want to put in your journal. Now, because this is really deep and personal work, I want you to know who's guiding you. I am Mindy Arbuckle. I'm a ritual artist, sacred guide, and founder of SOULutions Path, including the practice portal of SOULutions App. And truly, I created this workshop because I know what it's like to hold roles, to show up for others, and still feel a deeper sense of self asking to come forward. I've been a business owner. I am a business owner. I have taught yoga. I am a healer. I am a mom. I am a wife. So many roles that we all play. So how do we get back to having those responsibilities and coming from our truth? I mean, there were seasons in my life when I looked really capable, really confident on the outside, and I was slowly feeling disconnected on the inside. And I see that same pattern in women all over the world and women that I meet with every single day. All right. So why do we do this? I mean, I was just talking with women last night about this drift. It's subtle. And you find yourself eventually going, who the hell am I? I am a fixer. I am a problem solver. I am a perfectionist. I am a mother. And you can list off all these things. But who are you underneath all of those roles? We learn how to keep going while we quietly leave parts of our authentic truth behind. And this is so, so important. And it's so normal. Like, don't feel bad that this is happening. This is something that we all do. There's no shame needed here because the drift really is subtle. It's not dramatic. You don't just wake up one morning going, who am I? It's very gentle in how it slowly erodes your truth. It looks like functioning well while feeling farther and farther from yourself. Can you relate? I mean, you're doing what needs to be done. You're caring for people. You're meeting expectations. You're keeping everything going, keeping it all together. And yet some part of you still feels quiet, buried, far away. So how does this happen? Well, some real things happen here. We easily override our needs with the needs of others. You're constantly working with other people as a mother, as a wife, as a professional, and you're always looking at their needs. And oftentimes you forget to look at your own. You swallow your truth. I mean, sometimes shit happens. I mean, I've got family drama happening right now. And you can swallow your truth to keep the peace. Has anybody ever done that? When you're at work, sometimes you're like, this is what needs to be said. But if you say it, you fear the consequences, or you feel that it might not be received positively, or that you might get attacked if you say the truth. And we also oftentimes live inside roles that no longer fit, not because we're weak, but because we learned how to survive, how to belong. We learned how to keep going no matter what. And there's a lot of strength. There's a lot of pros and benefits that have come along with that, a lot of wisdom that has come with that. And there's also that subtle eroding that has been happening as well. So things like saying yes when you want to say no, staying agreeable staying agreeable just to avoid conflict. You're conflict adverse. Anybody? Sometimes yes. You decide that you have to be the strong one, and you are never able to ask for support even when you desperately need it. You choose what keeps other people comfortable over what feels true to you. You put all of your energy into caring for others while you silently neglect yourself. So notice, where have you been adapting so much that you can barely hear yourself anymore? Do any of those examples resonate with you? Is there some other way that it's showing up for you in your life? Now, this is exactly why identity reclamation matters. We are beautiful, strong women. There is a shift going on in the universe, and we want to take part in it in a positive, beautiful way. So what identity reclamation is not, let's talk about what it is, what it isn't. It is not becoming someone new. It is not fixing yourself. There is nothing broken within you, I promise. There is no performing healing. You don't have to continually heal yourself just to get to a certain level in order to feel good enough to show up as your authentic self. Yes, we can heal, and you don't have to just keep doing that in order to get to some arbitrary place. And it's definitely not creating better masks or more of them. Has anybody ever recognized how many masks you wear? Sometimes we call it different hats, but really they're masks that we wear in different situations. When you're with your family, when you're with your colleagues, when you're with your friends, we keep a lot of things hidden underneath those masks. So it's not about keeping more things hidden, and it's also not really about revealing more of our vulnerabilities. It might sometimes turn into that, but that's not what it's about. It is remembering what is true to you. What makes you joyful? What makes you smile? What makes you feel like you? It is releasing old patterns that you've outworn, outgrown, they're outdated, allowing yourself to recognize those patterns and then to move beyond them. That's the healing work that we're doing, is recognizing what no longer serves. It's returning to your body and your breath. Your body holds so much wisdom. Are you bold enough, confident enough, willing enough to listen to its messages and to honor what it's asking for? And it's also taking time to breathe consciously. Instead of reacting automatically, what if you feel yourself get triggered and you take a conscious breath? Yes. It's also choosing alignment over approval. That's a sticky spot because we so deeply want to be approved. We want to be appreciated by others. And yet, when we choose alignment over an arbitrary approval that maybe isn't actually you getting approved, it's your masked self getting approved, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel right. So, can we set down the arbitrary approvals and step into our authentic alignment? Identity reclamation is not about becoming someone else. It's not building a better mask. It's remembering what is true beneath the masks, beneath the roles we play. It's less, how do I improve myself? And more, what have I been overriding that needs my attention? Right? Where we have resistance is where the light of love wants to go. It's pointing at where we want to focus our attention. Your authentic self already lives within you. She's never disappeared. She's never gone anywhere. She's just been covered up by some other external experiences, some patterns, some programming that just doesn't fit you anymore. We are simply removing what isn't your truth through identity reclamation. So the first shift begins with moving out of performance. Yes, from performing to being. All right, we want to move from approval, from image and productivity into presence. That doesn't mean that you have to become a messy, crazy looking woman. It doesn't mean that you aren't going to be productive anymore. It means that you are living in the present moment and allowing yourself to move from alignment rather than past conditioning. All right, many of us were taught to build identity around being good. Oh, you're such a good girl. You had to fill that role, or you had to be useful. You had to be needed. What did you have to do in order for other people to need you? Sometimes that looked like you being quiet or being shy and withdrawn. Sometimes that was you being overly productive, perfectionistic. Maybe you had to be the strong one or the fixer, or you always had to be the person who was pleasing to others, who had to make other people appeased rather than feeling into yourself. We were taught to fly under the radar, or on the other side of the spectrum, to shine brighter than anybody else. And those two sides of the spectrum weren't necessarily authentic. Sometimes we had to do both of those same things at the same time. Performance ended up becoming a way of life. And it can look really beautiful while still being self-abandonment. Take that in. Performance asks, who do I need to be in order to be accepted? Being asks, what is true right here, right now, for me? So I'm going to give you a couple of more examples of what performing looks like versus being. Performing feels like if I'm helpful enough, needed enough, successful enough, then I'm going to be okay. If everyone else is okay, then I can finally relax. If I stay productive, I don't have to feel what's underneath. The key line is that being asks a different question. What is actually true for me here? Truth begins in the body before it becomes a language. When somebody asks something of you, how does your body respond? Does it tighten? Does it get nauseous? Does it get fluttery? Does it get hot? Does it get heavy? Those are all cues that your body is giving you to tell you if it's a sacred yes or a holy no. Now, this shift gets real when we're willing to look at ourselves honestly. So, where in your life are you still performing competence, goodness, or ease instead of telling the truth? And just take a moment to inquire here, to reflect upon this. This is a very human quality reflection. And allow yourself to just take a moment and ask this question of yourself. Maybe it's in a relationship. Maybe it's in motherhood or in work. Maybe it's in how you care for your body or in how you present yourself spiritually. That's a really curious one because we are all drawn to spirituality if we're in this workshop. So take a moment. If you need to, feel free to pause the video and come back when you're ready. And when you are ready, the second shift asks us to look at our roles that we play. So we're moving from roles to truth, from the masks and the hats that we wear to who we are authentically, truthfully. All right. Roles are not bad. They are becoming limiting. They become limiting when they become your identity. When you think that that's who you are, and that's a limitation. Like a lot of women, when they become mothers, they feel like they lose themselves. And then they dive into motherhood and they become the perfect mother or the best mother that they can be. And then they say, where did I go? What happened to me? But if I'm not a mother, who am I? Or when the kids leave after 18 and go to college or wherever they go, oh, who am I if I'm not a mother? That's a really tricky one. So that's where roles turning into identity become limiting. So they might describe what you do, but they do not define who you are. Mother, partner, healer, leader, caregiver, professional. They help us function. And the problem is not having these roles. The problem is forgetting that there is a self beneath them that matters. All right. The couple of examples. I've become so identified with being the strong one that I don't know how to receive when I'm in need. I don't know how to let other people take care of me. Or I've become so identified with being the peaceful one, the peacekeeper, that I don't know how to speak hard truths. Ooh, how does that one land? Or I've become so identified with being the helper that I don't know who I am when I'm not giving, when I'm not helping other people, when I'm not fixing their problems for them. Who am I? And that could be as a mother, that could be as a family member, a sister or a daughter. A lot of women do this in work. I was just talking with a woman last night who is the fixer. She's the helper. She fixes things in her business for all of her clients. And it's becoming overwhelming because she doesn't have boundaries anymore. So what happens when a role no longer fits? All right. So when you are embodying a role, you learned how to hold a certain task, a certain energy, a certain vibration, a certain action. And the truth is, what remains when I stop contorting myself to fit that role? The role says, how do I stay needed, safe, appreciated, important in other people's lives? But the truth is how I relate from alignment. So if you're contorting yourself, if you are trying desperately to be needed or to feel safe or to fit somebody else's idea of who you're supposed to be, you're not being yourself. And then you always feel empty because nobody really sees you. Even if you feel safe or needed or wanted or appreciated, there's some other part of you that doesn't know that you are because you don't believe it, because they're appreciating a part of you that's not real. So think about this. What role have you outgrown? Even if you still know how to perform it well, what role have you actually outgrown? This is really important because this is where we as women start to feel exhausted, drained, betrayed, abandoned, lonely in the midst of all these people. we start to feel disconnected from ourselves because we are stuck in our roles and we're forgetting our truth. When a role no longer fits, we keep performing it so often because it's out of loyalty, it's out of fear, it's out of habit, and that creates deep inner tension. So think about this: staying in a version of yourself that other people expect of you. You've filled this role for so long that everybody expects this of you, and you feel like you're letting them down if you don't continue to fill it, even if it's not working for you anymore. You continue to be endlessly accommodating for work, for husbands, for spouses, for children. People take advantage of you, and you feel like they don't even see you. It's keeping peace externally while feeling deeply misaligned internally. No more inner peace on the inside. It's just a facade on the outside. The question is not, what have you learned to hold? It's, what remains when I stop contorting? Really get into that. What remains when you stop trying to fix everybody else and start looking within? You don't stop holding, you don't stop supporting other people, but we start doing it from our aligned place of centeredness. You've chosen these roles. They're okay to have, but let's get you back into alignment so that you can do it with love and actually let people see how you show up for them. But before we go on into the third shift, let's have a direct experience of this return. All right, so let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. We're going to come back to yourself with this ritual. Allow yourself to soften the jaw, to relax your shoulders, maybe stretch them a little bit. And take 3 slow, deep breaths. Let's take a deep inhale together. And exhale. Breath in. Breath out. One more. Feel your sit bones resting. And notice, where have I been performing instead of being? Where have I abandoned myself to be accepted, to be needed, or to feel safe? You don't have to have the perfect answers. Just let arise anything that comes through into the surface. And you might bring a hand to your heart and one to your belly. And notice what your body feels like when you imagine no longer needing to prove yourself to anyone, not even to yourself. Feel the lightness that comes through. Feel the weight that shifts. And speak to yourself. I release who I thought I had to be. I release who I thought I had to be. I return to what is real. I return to what is real. And with your whole heart, speak this. I am allowed to choose myself. I am allowed to choose myself. Feel yourself reclaiming even a small inkling of who you are. We don't reclaim ourselves, just like we don't lose ourselves all at once. It comes back with presence, with consciousness, with choice, with remembering. So I'm going to ask you to choose what is true for you right now. And what is one small way you can choose yourself this week? One small action, one small choice, one small offering that you've been avoiding. Allow yourself to recognize what is true for you now. And that might just be, I'm tired. I'm ready for this shift. And what is one small way you can choose yourself this week? It could be as simple as drinking more water. It could be taking a walk once this week outside in the bright sunshine. Anything that comes to the surface is right. Let's take one more slow, deep breath in. Feeling yourself honoring this deeper aspect of who you are. And this is where the third shift begins. From self-abandonment to self-return. Identity changes through choice and through repetition. And in all things, you have a choice. Whether you're making them consciously or unconsciously, there is always a choice. Insight matters. These deep insights that just came through in our short meditation. But identity changes when your choices, when those actions become your practice, when you repeat them with your whole heart over a long period of time. So identity changes when you get regular with these conscious choices. Self-return is not a once and done kind of thing. It is not a grand moment in time. Even if you have a mystical, magical experience through a meditation or you've gone on retreat, that doesn't shift your identity permanently. It is a series of honest returns. The insights, the bright moments give you a glimpse of what is there. And it is your choice, your conscious actions that keep bringing that back into your life again and again until that becomes your true identity. All right, so a couple of examples of how we can make these actions relatable in our life, because that's the way we really choose ourselves. Things like speaking the real answer instead of the easy one. Resting instead of over-functioning. You can function fully, but you can also rest. Find a balance within that. You can ask for support. I'm trying to teach my children this. I've got a 17-year-old and she was getting really worn out with school. And I said, honey, if you need support, all you have to do is ask. And this morning she asked, Mom, can you make me lunch? Yes, daughter Zella, I certainly can. So if we ask for support, almost always we will receive it. Maybe the people around us aren't used to hearing us ask for it, but most likely they will give it to you. Honoring a boundary without having to explain yourself. This is who I am. This is my energy. No more. Okay. Making one small aligned decision. That could be with your food, with your activity level. That could be with a healthy boundary at work. Maybe it's my job pays me until I go to 5 o'clock, so I'm going to actually end at 5 o'clock. Taking one small aligned decision and making that a positive action for yourself. All right, so what does self-abandonment sound like? And what does self-return sound like? Let's get real practical here. Self-abandonment sounds like, it's fine. I'm fine. Fine. All is good. Everything's fine. Anybody ever done that? Maybe later I'll do that. Maybe. When you say maybe instead of a yes or a no, it's a self-abandonment. I don't want to disappoint anybody. That like if you can't disappoint somebody, it's okay. It is okay that you can disappoint somebody. I know what I need, but I'm going to come last. All right. Now self-return sounds like, this matters. And feel the difference in the confidence level and the certainty and the surety in that. This matters. I matter. I need a moment. I need a pause. Give me just a moment. Not, I need a moment, but I need a moment. And then you actually take a moment to breathe, to step away from the stress, to gain clarity, to shift perspective. Speaking, that no longer feels true. A role you've outgrown. Oh, that no longer fits. That feels better. I choose what keeps me in integrity. That is so strong. If you make choices that are filled with integrity, you will start to fill your energy resources, your energy reserves. You will no longer start to feel drained because you are aligning with your truth, your integrity, and you won't be self-sacrificing to everyone all the time anymore. So notice which voice has been louder in your life lately. Not to judge, not to shame yourself, but to notice this is where I am. And maybe the direction that you want to head. Because if you're not clear about where you are, you don't know where you're going to be heading. Okay. Now let's bring this into one real next step. So here's our integration. Transformation gets built through small acts of honesty. So I'm going to ask you to choose one small act of self-return for the next 7 days. That same action every single day. It could be sitting down to meditate for 3 minutes a day, listening to the SOULutions app and doing a meditation. It could be taking a walk, just getting outside, sitting better at your desk. And I want you to write a sticky note. You can write it in your journal, but write a sticky note where you're going to see this action and where it needs to take place and do it 7 days consecutively. So it could be say no once without apology every day. Ask for help. Take 10 minutes of silence before reaching for your phone in the morning or at night. Tell the truth in one conversation. Now, that one you could do as one conversation. You don't have to do 7 different conversations, but speak your truth. It feels really good to speak your truth. Stop volunteering yourself for what drains you. It is a good word to learn. No. N-O. It's 2 simple letters, very powerful. Make one choice based on alignment, not on obligation. And honor one body signal. Okay, so if your body's telling you something, you need rest, you need to eat, you need water, listen to that, honor it. Now, let's name what actually happened here today. You named the drift. You felt, oh man, this has been happening slowly for a long time. This wasn't just about information. You really felt into where you've been slowly eroding. You also remembered what's true about who you are and what brings you joy and authenticity. You practiced coming back to yourself again and again, and you chose one small act of self-return. This is how identity reclamation begins. So now the question is, what wants to deepen? And what you're reclaiming is even deeper than just one action. You're reclaiming your presence, your truth, your voice, your right to choose you, and your next aligned step. And these don't all have to happen all at once. And you definitely don't have to be perfect at this process, but you can be very intentional with this process. This is where identity reclamation begins. And when pressure returns, this is what you can come back to. When you feel pressure, when you feel stress, when you feel expectations upon you, old habits come back. In those moments, we breathe, we notice, we remember, and we choose again. The mantra is, I see clearly, I choose me. I see clearly, I choose me. Just take a breath. I see clearly, I choose me. Yes. And if you know this is work that you're ready to deepen, I do want to share the next step with you. This is an invitation to be more you. It's a 4-week identity integration circle. Our next opportunity is April 7th through the 28th. And if that's not a timeline that is near you, check the website right below this video and you will see all the upcoming dates. If this really resonated with you and you know you're ready for support in making this real in your everyday life, this is why I created Be More You, for women who are ready to move beyond just insights and learning and to really begin embodying the truth, self-trust, and aligned actions that anchor you into you. All right, this is a deeper container. It is a practice, not just insight. And it is a way for you to feel supported, to offer reflections, to start taking those embodied actions. It's also a place where self-return becomes lived experience. This is a circle for the woman who doesn't just want a moment of truth, but she wants to begin living from it. All right. Now, if there isn't an active 4-week integration circle coming up, the other option is my inner circle, which is an ongoing monthly support of a group of women who are ready to live this and are ready to anchor into this by living their truth, not just talking about it, not just expressing it, not just continuously endless healing, but actually anchoring into the women that they know they can be. And we are the women who are going to make the change in this world. So let's join together and multiply our energy. You do not need to force your way back into yourself. You simply need support, honesty, and a space where what is true can stay true. Now, this is a recording, so let yourself just take a moment to recognize, what are you ready to reclaim? All right. If you feel called, write this down into your journal. And a couple of things that you might be ready to reclaim are your voice, your peace, your right to rest, your right to honesty, your trust in yourself, your deeper yes, your holy no, or your wholeness. And before we close, I just want to offer a blessing to you as we move through into the rest of our day. Dear sister, may you trust what is true. May you soften what is not. May your voice return gently. May your next step be honest. May you remember you do not need to become someone else. You are already on your way home. So much love to you. I would love to continue supporting you in whatever way feels best through our 4-week integration circle, Be More You, through my inner circle, the SOULutions App practice portal. So many great ways to work together. All my love to you. Thank you for your presence. Namaste.